For the first time in ERL history, we're in Kuala Lumpur. Revel on pole from Catfish and U-Cable. Then it's Marcus Nelson starting 4th from Falstad and Remy LeBeau. Pablo Sierra starts 7th from one of the 2 home drivers on the field, Mohamed Nawawi. Then it's Sebastian Ocampo, Tommy, and Lawless Leclerc, the championship leader. Zach Wallace starts 12th from Babness Jr. and Enoch Yu. Then it's Tenali Gabo, teammates with the lead home driver. Then it's Pierre Gasly, the Red Devil, Daniel Bogdasarov, Dav Sanchez, Ben Allen Lee, Ica World, and Zay Lane in 22nd. Catfish starts on the front row for his first career home Prix. The fans are ready. Here comes the Kuala Lumpur Prix. And we are underway in Malaysia. Very good start from Revo off the line, covering off Catfish, exactly what he needed to do. On board with the U-Cable as they head down into turn number 1. Falstad getting a 5-second time penalty as they head down the hill, and a 5-second time penalty for Falstad, already mentioned. But there is the stricken Trackhouse Renault car of Ica World, the Angolan driver, out at turn 1. And that means we are now under the full course yellow. U-Cable dropped to 4th after the start. The guys who are currently fighting it out for the World Drivers' Championship, Lawless Leclerc for Trackhouse Renault, and Tenali Gabo for Sims Porsche DS. Then you've got the 2 Power Motorsports drivers and Pablo Sierra, all very close in tandem, but the highest up of the top 6 in the drivers' standings is Catfish, currently running in 2nd. In the slipstream of Revo ahead of him. For Catfish and Sims, this is a very, very big weekend. Because for Catfish, this is him getting his first race win at his home event. The most recent driver to win at their home race, if memory serves me right, is Pablo Sierra at Spain. We haven't had a Spanish Grand Prix. I think it might have been in Akari. Maybe Revo's won at Rome in his championship winning seasons. I'm not too sure, but he's currently leading us in Malaysia, looking behind with the number 7 driver for DS Techeetah. We are likely to see a brand new configuration of this track in Kuala Lumpur. We are not running at the official racetrack. We are running at a street track before the racetrack is completely ready for the ERL. And Q's been given a 5-second time penalty as he tries to go around the outside of the Red Devil. Doesn't quite work out for him. Sanchez also getting a time penalty. We rarely ever see too much action, but Pierre Gasly has quite a bit of damage to his car. He and Bogdasarov are the only 2 drivers who decided to start this race on the hard tyres. But here comes Catfish for the race lead into turn 4. He's on the outside of Revo, still alongside him, but he's just about done it. He's a 1/10 of a second ahead, 2 tenths ahead, but he's let Revo take the inside line, however. As they head down the hill, they are still side by side. Catfish giving it everything, and he's given himself the race lead, but Revo's not going to be one to give this up. This is his title defense. He's only gotten 2 points-paying finishes to his name so far. 10th in the opening round of the season in Shanghai, and a win last time out in Victoria. Falstad sends it down the inside and takes 2nd away from Revo. Not too sure if the Italians too fussed about him. But of course, he is still going for a 4th title, is Revo. He's one of the favourites to do it, even if his team isn't really all that concerned with this season's title challenge. They are more ready for next season. A full stats reset as we head into the Gen 2 era of the ERL. Sebastian Ocampo has been given a time penalty. That's both Andretti men with a 5-second time penalty to their names. Marcus Nelson in 4th, getting a track limits warning, defending from U-Cable now. And in fact, the Briton is nowhere near the back of the Trackhouse man as they rise up the hill. Catfish has pulled half a second on Falstad, but watch that gap disapparate immediately. Look at all of these guys with attack mode. Every single driver from Falstad down to Bogdasarov has attack mode, and in fact, there goes Falstad, but Catfish comes right back at ya to reclaim the race lead. Almost as if he was saying, you may have attack mode, but I have the power of the home fans. Nawawi currently in 10th, also with home fans. Both Malaysian drivers on the grid. They both raced in Season 1. So that is another thing tonight, as we are watching Pablo Sierra fight Remy LeBeau, both powered by the Renault powertrain, but currently the leading powertrain provider is DS, but they're not even leading the constructors. The team that's leading that constructors fight is Sims, but they have yet to take a race win in their entire existence. Volstad, if he does try and get past Catfish here, for Catfish, if Volstad gets past, all he's going to worry about is keeping that gap, and Volstad's into the pits. First one to pit of the day, 3 laps on the softs. Considering that we should be able to make it to lap 5 on soft tyres, so the one-stop strategy is likely if you make it to lap 5. Revo's been given a track limits warning, as he's now up in second. Medium tyres go on to Volstad's car. He's going to have to try and do 7 laps on them. I doubt that will be possible, however. On board with Mohamed Awawi in 9th position. He's going to have to defend from Dominus Jr. with that attack mode, but further up, look at that, 4-way fight for second. Team Cable looking for a way to get past Marcus Nelson. This fighting is allowing Catfish to pull 2 seconds on Revo, so that is really helpful for the man trying to take his first ever race win for Sims Motorsport DS, now known as Sims Porsche, with that partnership leading to them becoming the factory Porsche team for next season. They are also likely to remove Hatsune Miku from the side of their car, which is kind of very depressing because that is one of the best parts of the grid, just seeing the Miku Mobile out on track. It's a really cool thing, but you understand it does have to go sometimes. Up the chicane comes race leader Catfish. He's going to go to lap 5 and has effectively locked himself into a one-stop strategy. As they round turn 1, many drivers coming in for their first stop at the end of lap 4. In fact, Hinali Gabo has come in and will go on to the mediums. So maybe trying to undercut some of their rivals, but being held for a second there by, of all drivers, home man Mohamed Awawi there. And on board with Catfish, look at his soft tyres. They are absolutely shredded. The man he's likely to be fighting on pit exit when he does come into pit is Volstad, but the average pit stop time around here is roughly 20-ish seconds. It's possible that for Catfish, he should be able to come out ahead of Volstad, but he's going to need the final sector of a lifetime to do it. We're going to look and see if we can get some team radio, as we are still on board with the home favourite. It's been so long since Catfish has been able to win a race. It's been since his days with Jaguar that he's been in title contention. It's been since his days with Nissan that UKable's been able to challenge for the title consistently as they rise through the chicane, and in come the top 2 because Nelson's in. Revo staying out to start lap 6 of 11. But we're going to go on board with Volstad, who comes through the chicane right now. Heads down into turn 1. Will he be ahead of Catfish on pit lane exit? Here he comes, and he is ahead of both Catfish and UKable. In fact, Sebastian Ocampo might come out ahead of these guys. He does not. But Catfish is 4 seconds off with Volstad. 5 seconds now. He's going to have to step on that pedal right now. For the next 5 laps, it's going to have to be flat-out racing for Catfish in that number 2 car. Whether that is to finish this race in first on the road, or just be within that 5-second margin of Volstad. Bogdasarov and Gasly, both French drivers on the hard tyres, they are certainly using them to their fullest extent. Further behind Catfish, you've got this fight raging for 7th position, as look at that from Ocampo, going very wide indeed. The Red Devil in 17th, getting a track limits warning for whatever reason, even though he's not fighting for any points. Volstad in 4th. He is doing his best to close in on Pierre. 72% tyre wear. versus the 93 on Catfish's mediums. I feel very confident in saying that Catfish is going to be able to make it to the end because Revo's done 6 laps. Catfish only needs to do 5. In comes Revo for the soft tyres. Babinets Jr. follows him in. Bogdasarov coming through that chicane will start lap number 7. Pierre Gasly comes into the pits. Falstad on the back with attack mode. He's going to get another dosage of it heading down the hill. Not even heading down the hill. As they go up the hill, he'll get it, but he might not even need it. He's going to look to try and go alongside Bogdasarov, but he's 3 seconds ahead of Catfish right now. As it would stand, Catfish would get elevated to 2nd position. For Bogdasarov, he might want to win this race, but he'd have to make those hard tires sing. Here comes Falstad into turn number 4. He looks to the inside, has to swing out wide, but isn't quite able to do it. Pablo Sierra in 5th position, getting a track limits warning right behind Marcus Nelson, whose teammate is down in 13th and has to make the most of the opportunity that he's got. Maybe try and follow him, having a while through. It's very interesting to note that in the top 5, 3rd down through 5th have experienced what it was like back in season 1, but the other two don't even know what season 10 was like for the drivers. They went around to see ERT come into the ERL. That's wild, but here comes Falstad alongside Bogdasarov and taking the lead of the Kuala Lumpur Prix. But here comes the Kuala Lumpur home driver on the back of Bogdasarov, who's rumoured to come into the pits. He's down the inside, coming through the final turn, and Bogdasarov yoinks himself out of it and comes into the pits. 3 laps to go, on board with Catfish. And in fact, Falstad's mediums now beginning to blister. This is not going to go the way of the McLaren driver, surely. You've got this massive fight for 3rd behind, but here comes Catfish up the hill. He's going to get attack mode on this lap. He's closed in to get the slipstream and have that be enough. Here he comes. Sims Porsche DS finally take the lead of an E-Prix. Catfish leads the Kuala Lumpur E-Prix, and unlike Munich a few races ago, he has no penalty that will strip him of the race win at the end of it. That wasn't a very good call, but still, it is absolutely wonderful to see. And Marcus Nelson trying to go for 3rd currently. He's currently got in that 3rd position because of Falstad's penalty, which would currently drop him down to 9th place. But Nelson having to do 2 jobs at the same time. Attack Sierra while defending from Remy. That's not going to be easy in the slightest, as he now rises up the hill in the final sector. He's going to have to use every ounce of racing insight that he has as his medium tyres begin to go off that tyre performance cliff that everyone keeps talking about. Catfish will go on to start the 9th lap in Kuala Lumpur ahead of Oscar Falstad. And we've got yellows in the 3rd sector! Leclerc's involved! My goodness me, what's gone on here? Sanchez has got himself a 10-second time penalty, and not Q's also got 10 seconds, but Leclerc has dropped himself outside of the points, and in fact has lost part of his front wing and will have to come into the pits once more. But someone else was involved in that incident. Not too sure who that someone else is, as Marcus Nelson goes to try and take 3rd alongside Pablo Sierra. Here he comes, there he goes. Cable looking for a way to get past Remy LeBeau as well. Sanchez, it seems to have been Revo who might have been involved in all of that, because he's got damage as well without getting a penalty. Just checking down the field, Gabo's got damage as well for the other Sims driver. Babinets Jr. has a bit of damage. Leclerc, the championship leader, has front wing damage, and not Q has damage and a penalty to boot. Bogdasarov on the back of the Hong Kong native. And in fact, Ben Allen Lee struggling to hold on to the back of the pack. And in fact, we've got more carnage! And Leclerc! What's happened to Lawless Leclerc? He spun it again! What damage does the Trackhouse driver have? He's only lost his front wing, but he's not just missing that. he's not able to use attack charge anymore. Volstad and U-Cable and Remy LeBeau all come in for their second stops on the penultimate lap in Kuala Lumpur. And it's the penultimate lap that Sims Porsche are gonna have to savour for the longest of times. There's a not you being caught there. Mohamed Awawi and Tommy both coming to the pits. No puncture for either drivers. That's the main cause of incidents in this race, is specifically a puncture of the sort. But for Trackhouse Racing, the team that are going for a championship, that did not work out too well. Soft tires going on to Leclerc's car as he's going to funnel out in last position. But for this man, his team's not been able to be in first position for so long. But who else to come into the Sims fold and give it its first race win than the most experienced driver to drive with Sims Motorsport? And the Sims Motorsport driver who finally gets to race at his home race in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the capital city, as he comes through the third sector of the penultimate lap. He's only got a lap and a sixth to go before he can finally say that he's won his home race. I can't even name the last driver who won their home race, as here comes Sebastian Ocampo, who I don't think has ever won in Manila. But here they go to lap 11 of 11 in Kuala Lumpur. Here comes Ocampo around the outside of Marcus Nelson at turn 1. Nelson knows better, he's got the inside and holds on to second by the skin of his teeth. Both drivers with absolutely shredded mediums as they rise up the hill of turns 2 and 3. Attack mode will be wide open for Sebastian Ocampo, you can see, and he will be able to gap Nelson quite a bit and hold on to second on the road. Catfish has the fastest first sector of anyone at 27.833. Revo steals that in 5th position after causing carnage with Lawless Leclerc, as if to help Sims in their bout for the championships. Tenali Gabo in 8th, getting a track limits warning as my tablet now begins to struggle. Here he comes down the inside on Daf Sanchez and taking 7th away from the Andretti driver. And he's still alongside him. This is going to be one of those fights that will last for most all of the race. But meanwhile, his teammate is glad that he's done fighting. He's done fighting for the win. He's able to cruise to his first win back in the ERL, and it will be his team's first win in the ERL as he comes through the chicane. Sims Porsche have finally managed to do it. Catfish wins the Kuala Lumpur Prix and takes Sims' first race victory. Ocampo is second on the line from Nelson and Sierra. As look at this fight for 10th position. U-Cable might not even be 10th on the road, but he's alongside Tenali Gabo. Side by side they go, and it's only by 83 hundredths. Bogdasarov there took the fastest lap of 126.383. Here comes Tommy, contact with Ben Allen Lee at the last moment to try and take 16th, and he does it on the road. As the two Mercedes drivers come home in formation finish from Nawawi, not the home race he would have wanted, and not Hughes sets a 126.216. Leclerc sets a 0.05. But this is the podium. Jubilation down at Sims Porsche. Catfish finally takes home victory. It's been a long time coming, this one, and a longer time coming for Sims Porsche. It has been a grueling 3 seasons since their first race start. Marcus Nelson came home with second, with Pablo Sierra finishing in third. Then it's Revo, Ocampo, the Red Devil, Babinis Jr. and Tenali Gabo, the top 8 from U-Cable and Remy LeBeau. Your non-scorers were Oscar Volstad, Daniel Bogdasarov, Daf Sanchez, Pierre Gasly, Zach Wallace, Ben Allen Lee, Mohamed Nawawi, Zay Lane, Tommy, Lars Leclerc, and Inoki, with the only non-finisher being Iker World, who crashed out on the opening lap. The driver standing shows a name that hasn't been at the top for a long while. Catfish leads from Pablo Sierra and Tonali. Gabo tied with Leclerc with Revo in 5th. Then it's Ocampo tied with the Red Devil. Pierre Gasly in 8th, 2 points ahead of his more experienced world champion teammate Ukable, who's tied with fellow one-time champion Marcus Nelson. Then it's Babinas Jr., Nawawi, Remy LeBeau, Daf Sanchez, Zaylane, and Zach Wallace, with Volstad, Bottasara, Vinot Q, Alan Lee, Ika Ward, and Tommy yet to score any points in the constructors standings heading into the 6th round of the championship. Sims, Porsche, DS lead the way on 92 points ahead of their supplier DS Techeetah. Then it's Power Renault, Kero Renault, DS Andretti, Renault Edams, and Trackhouse Renault, with Mercedes EQ in 8th. Following them is DS Venturi, DS McLaren TGR, and Nissan Nismo, who are yet to score any points. Brilliant race for Sims today, but will they continue with that form once the ERL returns next time?